Every great Minecraft build starts with a vision, but even the grandest castle looks out of place on a flat, empty plain. Therefore, I think that every world requires a bit of terraforming. So, in today's episode, I am gonna expand towards the spawn of my world and transform it according to my vision. To make this a lot easier, I'm gonna break this project into some smaller steps. The first step is to get the things that I'm gonna need while terraforming, and that includes rockets and food. Now, for the rockets, I've already got a sugarcane farm, but I don't really have a gunpowder farm. So the plan is to build one in this rock that I built in recent episodes. And for the food, I'm just gonna build a simple hoglin farm on the nether roof. Now, while building those farms, I'm gonna briefly talk about the area that we're gonna be terraforming today. As we head towards the spawn of this world, you can see that we've got mostly vanilla terrain, and I think that it doesn't work that well. So we're gonna improve it with some custom terrain. Now, I've actually designed this project quite a few months ago, but I never really got to the part of actually building it, so I'm really excited that we're finally getting to it today. But enough of that, let's talk a bit about the materials that I'm gonna need for this. All of those blocks that you see here are gonna be needed in this terraforming project in some way or the other. Some I need just a shulker box of, but for other ones I need up to 3 shulker boxes. But I think we're gonna worry about that a little bit later, because right now we have some farms to build. Okay, so I've already tested the creeper farm a bit, and yeah, the rates are pretty amazing, and I think this is only one day of AFK Minecraft. I think that is pretty good. And as you can see, I've changed the campfires to soul campfires, and that is because the light that they emitted wouldn't let creepers spawn on the lowest layer, so those soul campfires are better for the rates of the farm. But I am gonna change them to wither roses in the future when I will be able to. And now that we've finally built a hoglin farm, I won't have to worry about food anymore. Now that we are done with those farms, I think it's time to check what materials we have on hand for this project. So far, we've got the light grey terracotta, the light grey wool, the stone, the corals, the pale moss, and the basalt. But we've still got a few materials that we need to get. Firstly, I went into the mines to get all the stones, two of which can be insta-mined with the Haste 2 beacon, with the exception of Deep Slate, for which I had to mine the Silk Touch form. After that, I went to get an additional shulker box of acacia logs, and then I got more sand as I did not have enough to be able to craft all the concrete powder. Now that we are done with the material gathering, it's time to build. And to be honest, I've never built anything quite at this scale, so it's gonna be hard, but I will also do my best. So without further ado, let's get to work. Now that we are done terraforming here, I think it's time to head to the next area. If we go this way, you can see that we've got a lake. And I really want to improve the surroundings of it. The plan is to build some custom cliffs right on this side, and to also expand this cave for a future project. But before building, I actually need to dig, as the old terrain overlaps the new one. Firstly, I had to get rid of a huge chunk of this village, and then I went and also mined a few bits around it. Afterwards, I went into the cave, on which I didn't have to work much at all because it was already pretty spacious. I only had to clear the entrance and also mine a bit of the ceiling. Now with that done, let's move over to building. Firstly, I do actually need to gather a few shulkers of mud as I ran out of it and I'm gonna need a lot for this lake floor. Now with the mud gathered, the only thing left to do is build a conduit, load up a schematic and just hold the right click button. Now that we are done terraforming this area, I think that I would like to actually explain the process of designing this. It took quite some months to be able to actually reach this result. The first time I ever designed this lake area was with this cave. As you saw before, the lake was practically already there and I just had to shape it out. And after I was able to shape it out, I thought it'd be nice to actually terraform around it as well. And as you can see, we've got a pretty similar rock shape that we've used throughout this whole area. And that is this rounded rock shape, as you can see here. It's practically everywhere, just in different sizes and shapes. And I am gonna slip real quick so we can see this better. Okay, now taking a look at the right, you can see that I've pretty much changed the rock shapes. And that is because I actually took a break between building first two areas. And here I went for a more square shape for the rocks, and they're a lot smaller and pretty similar in sizes. Now, afterwards, I took another pretty long break because I was just working on some other projects, and then I went and designed this area. And as you can see here, there's not much repetition like there was right in this area and here. It looks, I think, a lot more natural, and I think that I've pretty much improved over time. Now you may notice that I did add a new block, and that is the tube coral. As you can see, in this area it is not present. And I've also used a lot more concrete powder and light gray wool compared to the other areas that we've done before, which I think gives quite a different vibe compared to the other areas. Now, we've still got some things to do, and that includes a bridge that I still have to build right here. And we've also got a hole that I've left here. The plan for this hole is to actually build a castle right here. And until today, I did not really have an idea what I was gonna do with it, like anything practical. And today I just came up with the greatest idea. But first, I do have to tell you a bit about the next project. And the next thing that we're gonna build is gonna be a huge mountain over here that is gonna, completely overlap this one that we have right here, if you can even call it a mountain. And I need a lot of snow layers and snow blocks, and I don't quite have a farm for them. So I think you can already figure out what the purpose of the castle will be. We will have a snow farm in there, which will help me gather all the snow for this mountain and future mountains that we're gonna build. Now that we talked about all this, I think I'm just gonna gather some materials and build. Okay, now that we built this bridge, I can finally cross this gap. And now, having built this small little castle, I have a place to be able to farm the snow. As you can see, this is pretty successful. We've already got two shulker boxes of snow blocks, which and then I can later turn into snow layers. Big shout out to Big Booty though, cause he designed this farm and he designed other really cool farms that I've used in my world, so please go check out his channel, he's really cool and amazing. But now back here, I quickly want to tell you about one change that I did add to the farm. As you can see here, we've got basically shulker boxes in this chest, and that is because I did add one shulker box loader underneath the farm. I just like to have things automized, and I think it's great that I can just straight up get my snow in shulker boxes. But yeah, this farm is really good, and I am gonna AFK it, I think an hour or two, so I can get to the remaining snow that I need. And then I think we can build the mountain. Man, I cannot believe this. I've just built my first ever mountain, and it looks amazing. Even though it took a lot of hours of designing in creative and placing blocks in survival now, I think it was all worth it in the end. But now, I do want to talk a bit about the process behind designing this mountain. Considering blocks, it looks pretty standard. But if you look closer, I did add a few new blocks. Those include the bubble coral, the pale oak, and also the light grey terracotta. Now, the first two were used only to improve texturing, whereas the light grey terracotta was used to actually show where water will run when the snow would melt. The next pretty important thing when building the mountain was definitely the snow, as it pretty much covers half of the mountain. As you can see, I've also used snow layers, which allow me to smooth the snow areas a lot better. Also, I do want to say that I did use a mod to help me place all of the snow layers. Basically, what the mod does is that it placed blocks automatically for me, and in this case it placed snow layers. Now, you might think, well, doesn't that defeat the whole purpose of building the thing yourself? And my honest opinion is no, as clicking 5 to 7 times on 12,000 snow layers would have been pure agony. And also, I might use this mod in the future, but only with the blocks with the same case as snow layers, like wildflowers and leaf litter. Now that we've wrapped up this area, the only thing left to do for this episode is to touch up some parts that I've left earlier.